It's time for Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group with certified financial planners Kevin Korhorn, Mike Bernard, and Josh Gregory.
Welcome to another episode of the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group, where every week we're helping you take your next wise step in your financial life. Thanks for being here, friends. My name is Mike Bernard. I am your host. I'm also one of the certified financial planners on the program. And with me in the KFG studios, my business partners and fellow CFPs, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory.
Hey, it's always wise to be on guard for the sophisticated financial scams and attacks that are out there, isn't it? And that's actually why we're going to be covering on today's show the most common financial scams we're seeing and what you need to be on the lookout for in your own financial life. Hitting that and more on today's episode.
That's right. That's right. And then getting into listener questions as well. If you have a question for us or you need some help, we're here for you. You can call or text us 574-222-2000. That's 574-222-2000. Online, wisemoneyshow.com is where you can find us. Learn more about the show, learn more about the firm. You can leave questions there as well. Then all over social media. Most of the questions are there on the YouTube channel. You can find us wherever you're at. Just search the Wise Money Show. I think right now, just about any adult has a financial scam story. Whether you're a victim yourself or you've been on the wrong side of a threat, and I'm ignoring that. I mean, I don't know about you guys. It happens to me probably weekly or every other week. I'll get an email or a text, and it's like, okay, no thanks. Now, the Wise Money Show is a show about financial planning, and that's about, well, wherever you're at, making progress in your financial life and building. And oftentimes, we're talking about strategies or ways that you can make progress in your financial life. But before we get into questions, I want to just take a time out and talk about potential threats and financial scams so that you can be on guard and not fall victim to these sophisticated threats that are out there.
Mm-hmm. And I think most people intuitively are on guard on a regular basis. And that's why, man, when you get tripped up by one, it feels extra painful, doesn't it? It can feel embarrassing at some level. It can feel, no one wants to feel like a victim, right? Having anything stolen from you, you just feel ripped off, you feel angry. All kinds of emotions come along with identity theft or people actually stealing money from you, mm-hmm. right? And it can make you sinister. It can make you not trust other people. And there is wisdom to have kind of a wary eye, to be on guard at some level. But hopefully we can shed some light on the things that you need to be most focused on right now, because you said it well, that the issues, the strategies that are being used against people, they keep getting more and more sophisticated, more and more complicated, harder and harder to spot, actually.
Yeah, so we'll share a few of the most common ones right now, prevalent right now, and also, okay, how can you be not just aware, right? That's why we're talking about it, but how can you help prevent? What are some of the things that you can do to make sure that these things don't happen to you? Okay, so the first one, this is new. I am and have been a treasurer for a local Little League, and there's more than just me on the bank account. And when someone else would make a charge, I would get an alert, a text message from the bank saying such and such charge was just done. Do you approve this, or was this a scam? Right? So that's the backdrop. Maybe your credit card institution, maybe your bank has a similar process. Well, here's the scam. You receive one of those texts and it says, something was charged at some company, and you immediately look and it's like, no, this wasn't me. You reach out to your spouse. Was this you? No. And then you reply and say, no, this was not us. And so normally these are, press yes or reply Y if this was you, reply N if this wasn't you. And so you frantically say, no, this was not me. And then you get a response saying, and a team member will be in touch to let you know how you can, secure your account and avoid this charge. And then in that process, you're going through what you believe is an authentic attempt to say, don't allow this fake charge. But in talking to that individual, which you think is a representative of the credit card company or the bank, you're actually giving them information and they then steal your either online access, or they have your identity to then make some fraudulent charges, withdraw money from your bank account or your investment account, something like that. So in an attempt, the hackers pose as, hey, that someone's trying to get your information. Let me confirm it's you, and we'll lock it down. And in doing so, they steal your information.
That's right. So it was bait at first, kind of laying out the trap, and then if you step into it, the act of responding often is what gives them the access or the authority to do their work.
Yeah. So how do you prevent that? So this is a relatively new one. If you I would say first, be aware, does your bank or your credit card, do they send you those authorization texts? So first and foremost, because I personally have gotten one of these a week for the past several. And I look and it's like, nope, my credit card company, while I told you the bank that I am on the board with and whatnot, they send me those texts. My credit card company does not. They do not. That's not their protocol. So first, know, is that the protocol of your financial institution? So that if you get one of those, you can easily say, no, this is a scam. I'm not even replying, and I'm actually going to erase this text message because my bank doesn't follow that protocol.
Yep. So that could be a text message, the scenario that you were sharing. That there's a new term. They're coming out with new language for all these different types of scams. That's called smishing, which is basically just mashing up two words, phishing and the SMS or the text message technology and everything. But basically, they're just putting the bait out there, hoping that it'll get your attention, it'll catch you at just the right time where you're distracted or in a hurry, or maybe you've seen some other signs going on in your own financial life that make you suspicious that there's activity going on anyway. So it seems logical that you'd be getting this type of a text, but that could be coming by phone. It could be email that you get. And in any scenario, I think it's always important to just pause, like stop the conversation, stop the communication stream that's happening, and pick it up in a different method that you know is accurate.
Absolutely.
On the back of your credit card is the real phone number that you would call for customer service, right? That would be the phone number that you would call to deal with any kind of issues or suspected scams, that kind of thing. If they give you a phone number, in the email, or they give you a website to go to, they make it easy for you to just text back. You don't really know for sure that you're going to the right spot, right? And that's really what they're trying to do, is lure you down a channel that isn't the right channel, get you talking to someone who's not really a representative of your credit card or your bank. And this is where the trickery happens, right?
Yeah, and this is where I would have someone in my life who could help me and someone I could reach out to, because when you get a lot of times there's a voicemail, hey, this is the student loan organization, and we're willing to forgive all your student loans, and which is a wonderful thought. Even though I was in college 30 years ago and never had student loans, but when you're looking at this stuff in a vacuum, or if you're in a hurry and you look and you think, I gotta do this, and this, and I got this text, and it says, well, just click on this, and it will take you to Never Never Land. Like, do not fall for those things. And so I would, because if someone is reaching out to you because you owe them money or you need to do something, trust me, they'll find another way to get to you.
Right.
So if it's not in a text, and I don't know why it seemed like our cell phone numbers used to be sacred, and they no longer are. So I mean, daily, I don't know how many things I get that says, okay, you're approved for a line of credit for $807,000. We can't wait to give you this money. Just click here.
Yeah.
And I do the delete and report spam.
Yep.
And later in the day, I'll get the same thing from the same version.
I would so just to add one more thing that you can do is, in this attempt, this sophisticated hack, they're sometimes trying to get your login information, and so I would set up multi-factor authentication. And I know you might say, well, that seems like such a nuisance. I know, but it's an extra step of safeguard to ensure before someone gets access, there's a unique token, a unique code, something like that from a third party that you have to obtain in order to log into your account. So I have multi-factor authentication, and I have alerts. Hey, send me an email if there's activity so that I'm aware. I have those things set up as well. So what about some other financial scams to be on the lookout for? A lot of them pretend to be the IRS. We've got that and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show. What you're watching right now is our weekly 1-hour talk show that airs right here on this channel, 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Saturday morning, and also on podcast at the same time as well, but also on a couple local radio stations, which is why the content's broken up the way that it is. We've got segments. It's the length that it is. It's a talk show. But if you're looking for more just concrete financial wisdom content that you can apply to your financial life, we've got Next Wise Step videos that air right here on this channel every weekday. So well over 1,000 videos here in the library. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you're made aware every time we drop new content. If you like the content, we appreciate it. Share this one. My goodness. If you're listening to this saying, I already know, I'm diligent, share it with your folks, right? Share it with your kids who don't have as much life experience. And so you can help them be on guard as well.
Okay, it seems like we should just have a list, and then of like what are the potential scams or what are the potential ways that you'd protect yourself. But if you had a list of the potential scams and then you went into your story that you had a front row seat to.
Nope, already shared it. Not gonna.
Okay, so then.
Or are you saying in a different video?
No. So, okay, so let's go. Then I would go through the list. The thing that I was thinking about was I just had breakfast with a guy, and he said, hey, I would want to share about the local schemes. Part of me wants to share about the local schemes. I mean, the lady, you can't make this stuff up, but the lady whose name is Robin Hood, who stole $500 and some thousand, the attorney in town who got sentenced to 10 years and is ordered to pay $2 million of restitution. The 5-star, the real estate folks, because when I was at breakfast, this guy's like, yeah, well, I want my mom to start learning how to do real estate and real estate investing, and we have this opportunity to give this guy money, and they flip homes and do all this cool stuff, and we'll get 10%. We'll get a 10% return. And that might be totally legitimate. It's just that there are all these bad guys that have taken that money and made off with it.
Yeah.
And
good choice of words there.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, so
Made off.
I thought that was intentional.
That was not.
Okay, so let's hit IRS, and then we can go through that list, Kevin. If I were to give you a suggestion, I don't know if you're sharing those exact things, but I would make them like, okay, so what's the threat? Like, what happened? As opposed to, I'm just going to explain the end result. Someone got taken advantage of here. No. Like, we're trying to point out what was the trap?
Increased recognition.
What did it look
So
like?
the honey trap.
Yeah, as opposed to this just happened, and this just happened, and this just happened.
Okay, I can do it on the air.
All right, so let's start with IRS scams.
And if not, Lindsay can re-record.
And then we'll get into it. So, all right, second segment. Here we go. Have you ever gotten a text message or a voicemail saying you owe taxes? I know how alarming that can be. I get that voicemail about every week. So what should you do if you potentially are trying to be scammed because you might owe taxes? We're helping with that right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Stay up to date on all Wise Money content. Find us online, wisemoneyshow.com, and then all over social media, Wherever you're at, we are there as well. Search The Wise Money Show. Talking about financial scams that you need to be on guard against and look out for, and said this over the break, but if you're listening to this saying, I'm on top of things, share this content with your folks or share it with your kids, right? If you have enough life experience where you feel confident out there in the jungle, right? And they're more sophisticated attacks. Unfortunately, a lot of people are using their intelligence and their I don't know, creativity for evil, so stay on guard. But if you feel comfortable, your folks may not, right? Or your kids may not. So make sure you're talking about this with them, share this content with them. But the IRS, lots of people, I think probably since the IRS was created, there have been people out there trying to scam in the name of the IRS. Go back, to scripture, even biblically, right? Taxes were this ominous, made up number, and tax collectors were trying to charge you more than what you actually owed. And so it goes way back, guys. I'm assuming you do as well. I get a phone call all the time. And it sounds like a recording, but this is so-and-so from collect taxes, blah, 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 and some agency pretending to be, hey, you owe taxes. We're reaching out on behalf of those late taxes. And if you pay us right now, you'll get these cleaned up. Sometimes you get this via email or text as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty typical, and we hear this from clients at times who receive these types of notices. And I think this is similar to what we said in our last segment, that you need to understand how it really is supposed to work, right? And that way you can better identify, I guess, the fake. You kind of study the real ones, and then you understand the fake ones a little bit better. And you have to recognize that the IRS typically, they don't typically initiate first contact with a taxpayer by email, by text messages, certainly not by social media, right? And as authentic as these things might look, the channel is the clue that maybe this isn't really coming from an authoritative source or anything. And sometimes, we have clients that receive tax notices on a regular basis. In fact, we warn them up front that the IRS, the states, even local municipalities, they're doing a whole lot more audit type work by correspondence. They're sending out physical letters is typically the mode that they use. And every time you get one of these letters, what does it do? It invokes some sort of emotion, and it's usually fear, right? And that's exactly what scammers are counting on. They want to put some sort of stimulus in front of you. It's a letter scaring you, telling you that you owe all these terrible things are going to happen to you if you don't take action right away. And we actually had a financial counselor come teach our team that there is a think, feel, do progression that we all go through. And it can happen so fast that you don't even recognize that, okay, I received this notice. I'm thinking, is this authentic? Is this real? I don't know. You're feeling emotions, usually fear. And then the do is, will you comply with the instructions that are given? And breaking that whole cycle is the key here.
Creating some sort of pause or moment in between for you to confirm.
That's exactly right, especially at the emotion side, because the emotion is what works you into a frenzy. It's what makes you feel like you have to work really fast. And if you can pause long enough to get another set of eyes on this thing, someone that you trust, like who do you go to when you have something that seems suspicious or seems scary, seems threatening in your financial life? Of course, we want to propose that you have a financial advisor in your life, but it could be another trusted, wise individual that you don't mind sharing information with. But get those extra set of eyes on it. Let it pass their sniff test too, and just kind of slow down the process. You don't want to take immediate action on this stuff is the point.
I mean, especially with the IRS and notices, that's where you want to have a CFP, even CPA working to prepare your taxes. Hey, I received this communication, this notice. Is this correct? Do you think this is accurate? I'm looking right here at the IRS page, tax scams / consumer alerts, and in bold, the IRS doesn't initiate contact with taxpayers by email, text messages, or social media channels to request personal or financial information. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Now, their first communication is likely going to be by mail. So one thing to help you prevent or avoid falling victim, stay on top of your mail. And I know, like, you might say, well, of course, a lot of people don't. Stay on top of your mail. That's one. So that if you do receive some communication from the IRS, they're going to send mail first, and no, I don't have any mail from the IRS. I know this is a scam.
That's right.
Yeah, there's really two angles. One angle is you owe us a bunch of money, and the other angle is you're in line to get a big refund, and here's what you got to do to get it.
Oh.
But these are the things that you want to be looking out for. But again, this is why you want to have a financial professional in your life that can be walking you through these things and really just be your representation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other one. The IRS is never going to say, hey, we've got this big refund waiting for you. You just need to pay us $500 first, which I know we can laugh at.
No,
but that happens.
In a prepaid debit card or a gift card or a wire transfer.
Yeah.
I mean, all these things.
Yeah. One of our financial advisors, we were talking about this concept, and he said, this wasn't the IRS, but he said he was attacked by someone saying, you missed jury duty, and there's a penalty that you need to pay. And he's like, oh, my goodness, I didn't realize I missed it. Yeah, these are the dates, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, here's the penalty that you need to pay. And then he was like, well, wait a second. How do I know this is really you? And he's like, well, I will send you this communication. And he sent a text message with something authentic, or at least seemed authentic. Okay, give me a callback phone number. Send him a phone number, and sure enough, it was to this jury dude. And so he was like, okay, maybe this is it. I mean, so wait a second. So you're saying I owe something? Yeah, you need to Venmo me this money. And that's where he said, okay, this is a scam. Hang up. So sometimes
was it his kid?
No. Sometimes the IRS, or at least in the past, these IRS scammers were, you need to send us Apple gift cards or something. Okay, that's a telltale sign.
Western Union.
Yeah. So, all right. And then another financial scam is more categorized as is the grandparent scam. And it's similar to what we were just talking about, but this is where someone pretends to be a loved one, a family member, a grandchild often, and is reaching out saying, I'm in distress, I need money. This is often, sometimes it'll come by phone. Oftentimes it's going to come by text with instructions on how you can get me money. I'm in this really tough spot. And again, they're using that think, feel, do. And the think is just, oh, I'm glad to hear from you. But then the feel is, oh my goodness, I can't, I'm so sorry that you're stuck or you're stranded or you're in jail or you're whatever. And then the do is, I need to comply. I need to get you money really quick, because they're going to create some sense of urgency.
Yeah, there's not many emotional responses stronger than one from a parent towards a grandchild, right? We always say there's such a strong gravitational pull. Grandparents will change their retirement plans to be closer to grandkids at times. And so to rescue one or to defend one, to protect one, man, what's a few bucks? What's a few $100? What's a few $1,000 you would gladly step in and make a sacrifice? You might be feeling that right now. Is it real, is the question. Is it prudent? Even if it is real, should you be the one stepping in to help in that way? And unfortunately, a lot of scammers have been taking advantage of love, right? Love between two individuals, and using it to their own advantage.
Yeah. I mean, in that instance, I think you need to, again, create a little space between this chain of emotions, or this chain of events, and reach out to, send a text to that individual, because they're often going to say, I don't have my phone, it was lost, or whatever. Well, just quickly send a text to that phone number and see if you get a response. Call, if it's a grandparent, then call your child and see, hey, do you know where the child is? So just pausing that chain of reaction there to verify. So, all right, we've got more financial scams. You need to be on the lookout for that and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. All right, that's second segment. So let's go through that list.
Can we go through the local ones?
Sure. let's do that, and then we'll get into listener questions probably in the fourth segment. So, all right, here we go. So, Kevin, this is your segment.
Oh,
go. I'm just kidding. All right, here we go. As you're making progress in your financial life, doing planning and achieving goals, unfortunately, there's fraudsters out there trying to defraud you from some of that progress. And we've all seen it. Maybe you've experienced it as well. What are the financial scams you need to be on the lookout for and avoid? That's what we're helping with right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on the YouTube channel, as well as a lot of other content. Go find us there. Go to YouTube, search the Wise Money Show, subscribe to it there, turn on notifications so you're made aware every time we drop new content. And I said it before, but again, if you're listening to this saying, I'm aware of all of this, your folks might not be. Your kids might not be. They might not have heard of some of these financial scams or know what to do. And so YouTube channel, sharing this video, sharing this content, that way it would be an easy way to spread the word and get them informed. All right, we shared three of the most common. One is a texting scam where someone is saying, you know, did you just make this charge? We'll reach out if you didn't, and we'll lock your account or remove this charge, when in fact they're trying to get information from you or steal from you. Second, IRS scams, those posing as the IRS, sending you a text message, an email, or a phone call saying you owe us money right now. And then the third is just pretending to be a family member in distress, a grandchild, something like that. Kevin, what are a few other scams that have been out there?
Yeah, and I think one of the tells is that if it's, and this is going to sound so corny and so, you know, I heard this before, but if it seems too good to be true, it's likely not true. But it's very confusing because when you have, you know, when you think about Bernie Madoff, his scam, his scheme, where he's just flat out stole from people, he never invested in anything. He just took the last guy's money in the door and gave it to the first guy that wanted out. And it was pretty amazing what he was able to do at the level he was. And so, you know, if you live in the Midwest, you think, well, that's what happens in New York and the big cities and everything else. And that's actually not true. It happens, you know, when people ask me where I'm from, instead of saying Niles, Michigan, which doesn't register on most people's radar, I say South Bend, Indiana, and then they say Notre Dame, and I say, yeah, go Irish. And they say, are there really people that live there that don't root for Notre Dame? And I don't reveal it. But so the issue is, all right, this is too good to be true. What does that look like? So I'm having breakfast with a guy a couple weeks ago, and he says, I want my mom to get into real estate and do some real estate investing. And I'm like, well, real estate's the best investment in the world as long as you don't assign any value to your time. And as long as you are incredibly handy and you don't mind on your way out the door for vacation getting the call that says our AC is not working, the basement's flooded. Go on down the line. So as long as you're good with all that stuff, sure, it's a great investment. It's like, no, this is better. Because what my mom can do is she can give her money to these guys, and these guys do flipping and other things. They'll take the money and invest it, and we'll get this 10% return. It'll be great. So there you go. That's the trap is set. And the problem is the trap that's set looks identical to the legitimate deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so there's no real way to distinguish it. And so, I mean, it makes me think back to when the guys in the barber shop used to talk about a local real estate investment firm that did this. And it's all you can Google all this, so it's not like we're making anything up. But you know, from November 30th of 2023, Goshen man sentenced to 8 years in investment fraud scheme, where basically they're taking money and promising certain returns, and they get to a certain point where there's no way they could keep their promises, and then they, instead of unwinding at that moment, they go rogue and they go all in.
Well, so
It could be hopefulness that they're going to be able to turn things around, or if we can just keep the ship afloat a little longer, brighter days are coming. So not always is this started out maliciously, but if there's a lack of accountability, whether it's a scam or a great one, if there's not visibility into the situation, then you are exposing yourself to the same effect, whether it was intentional or just an investment that went bad because the market turned on you, mistakes were made, whatever. Right.
Well, that's why I was thinking of this, saying, well, how do you prevent that? Well, just be aware that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But then, second, if you're going to invest, then who's going to hold the money? Right? Are you getting a statement from Fidelity or from Schwab or from an actual company? That, to me, that makes me feel confident that my money is at work in a known spot versus, no, I don't really get statements. I really have no idea what's happening. Or I get statements from someone that produces them themselves. No, I want to see the actual statement from what's called the custodian. Sorry for the jargon. But then also, you think of a real estate investment. You could have a real estate mutual fund where you've invested dollars, and instead of those dollars, that mutual fund owning stock, it actually owns property, and that they're collecting rent from those tenants, and that becomes return for you. That's legitimate, but own it through a mutual fund where you can see the ticker and you can see how much money's in it, and that sort of thing, or through an exchange traded fund, that something that's registered where you can see this is legitimate versus someone's story.
So that is one of them. Early in my career, this is going back to the 2000s, there was a lady in Mishawaka, and she made off, I think, with about $1 million. Her name was Mary Lou Sanders. I don't think she's ever been found. She'd be about 80 today. But we had clients who had some money invested with her, and thankfully, I had a client that had some money invested with her that moved the money to us. And when I asked the client, hey, can I see a statement? And she produced a 3x5 card with numbers written on it. And I said, well, that's not really a statement. Like, I need an actual statement. And she didn't have one. And that to me is a tell.
Right.
Because the most recent, like hot off the presses, is I'm dealing with someone, and they said, hey, I had this person invest money for me, and they've had this incredible return. And so my first question was, where is it custodied?
Yeah. Where's the money held?
Where is the money held?
Yeah.
And no one knows. No, and people don't think about this stuff. They might say, oh, well, it's held at Fidelity. My statement says Fidelity or Schwab or Ed Jones or, fill in the blank. But this person didn't know. And I looked and I said, okay, to me, it just smelled funny. Well, he's since found out that the money's gone, and hopefully he'll get the money back. But this is a problem. Now, here's the deal. If the person that you're dealing with is registered with either a broker-dealer or an RIA, and I'm sorry for the jargon, but this is where you want to be doing investments with a registered person, because now you're under the protection of the
SIPC.
Yeah.
Yep. Basically, there are watchdogs, right? And
Yes.
and this is what you want to have in place when you're entrusting your life savings to a professional. You want to know that it's actually the money's being held in a third party's hands, and you're essentially hiring that financial advisor to help you guide the day-to-day management of the money. The advisor is giving instructions to that custodian, that third party, and they do the trades. They buy and sell the investments that are based on the instructions of the advisor and upon you as well. And you want that extra protection because those third parties that hold the money have so many eyes on them. They have so many regulations, and they have to be very sophisticated in their cybersecurity and other protocols and everything to protect your money. but it prevents the Bernie Madoff situation where people were giving money to him individually, and he was producing those statements that he could put any number he wants on there as far as a fake rate of return and a fake balance and all that. And as long as you don't ask for the money back anytime soon, then life seems really great to you, right?
Yeah. It really is scary and an alarming thing. So be diligent, right? And working with a certified financial planner, someone that's a fiduciary and going to help you, they're going to help steer you away from these things and make sure that everything is has the proper protections and in the right spot. So, all right, we got more coming up here on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group.
Okay, are we going into questions, or are we going to finish up that?
I would do questions unless there's more to say.
No, I would just, so then can we just rip a little bonus content here?
Sure.
So Robin Hood, 59 years old, of South Bend, Indiana, was sentenced. 12 months in prison, 1 year supervised release, ordered to pay $549,000 in restitution to the victim of the offense, according to documents between 16 and 21, embezzled $549 from her employer. Wow. So it's not just, hey, if I'm an individual, if you're an employer, you need to be vigilant. I mean, the most famous one was Dominiak, the plumber, whose wife and stepdaughter took money out of the business and gave it to Notre Dame football players and lived the high life. Wow. You guys remember that?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a good one. The other one, I mean, a good one, it's a horrible one, but the other one is the JD CPA, the guy that had all the credentials, the local attorney who is going to be in jail for the next 10 years.
Yep.
Because he has to pay back a couple $1 million of restitution. And so this is the problem. If someone is taking care of one of your loved ones or settling an estate or doing this or that, the other thing, and I've seen this where the vulnerable people, and thankfully when they will come and ask and say, hey, should I pay this because I'm receiving this from this person? And you can say, oh yeah, that's reasonable. Yes, that's it. That you should be doing that. Or no way. That is, you are getting absolutely, ripped off.
Yeah. All right.
So,
okay, here we go.
Just
Thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on podcast. Wherever you listen, just search the Wise Money Show. Subscribe to it there or follow us there. Rate the program there. We appreciate it. All right, the headliner topic for today has been about being aware of financial scams and then things that you can do to help prevent. So we talked about things like having multi-factor authentication. We talked about even changing your password. I don't know if we mentioned that specifically, but doing that frequently. Staying up to date on your financial accounts, logging into your financial institutions every so often to just check. Doing the same thing with your bank account and credit card, and just looking at, all right, does everything look legit here and everything look in order, that sort of thing. But also having a Sherpa, having a guide, having someone that is watching over your finances. I mean, your finances, face it, they're private, they're confidential. No one else knows about what's going on in your financial life other than you. And unless you have a certified financial planner, a CFP, that is also looking at everything and is aware and can say, hey, that looks out of place. Or wait a second, what happened with this? Or wait, some of the scary things that Kevin was just mentioning. Okay, this other investment that you have, where's the statement on this? Just to make sure that everything looks above board. So work with your certified financial planner. Again, oftentimes we're talking about strategies and ways to plan and those fun things, but your CFP is also going to help you stay on guard and diligent and ward off potential malicious attacks.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this and you've been scammed, get help immediately. What people oftentimes do once they get scammed, they're embarrassed about what happened, and so they don't want to tell anyone. And you need to go immediately. If you've been scammed by someone who was supposedly helping you with your investments, when you signed up with that person, you likely signed an agreement that would the problem is going to get solved via arbitration. So I would get an attorney that can help you through arbitration. That's not every attorney. And so, because we've seen it where someone was getting ripped off, they were trying to get help from their registered representative and the company that was facilitating this. And it was truly a mistake, but they wouldn't really fix it and didn't seem interested in fixing it. So they went and got an attorney. Well, the attorney took plenty of money from them and really was never in a position to help.
Yeah.
Could never help. So I would make sure I'd go to the police or go to the FBI. There's the SEC has a place. FINRA has a place where you can go and report fraudulent activity.
Yeah. All right, shifting gears here. Questions from fans of the show. The first one here coming from Doug. He says, hey, I'm listening to the show on Saturday morning. Appreciate it. I'm not a math guy, so just wanted to run this by you. And here's what he said. Got $100,000 in my savings account, and it's earning 4.25%. Thinking about taking out a loan to get another $20,000. So now I've got $120,000 in my savings, earning 4.25%. The $20,000 loan would be it'd be a personal loan, so a higher interest rate. So it's 10% in interest. I'm doing the math, and I think I'm money ahead. I'd have $120,000 in savings, and the amount of money that I would be earning in interest would pay the loan off in about 5 years. Is this legal? Is it ethical? Do loans like this affect your credit score? And so any advice or correction to my calculations would be greatly appreciated. So here's the thing. I actually did the math on this.
Yeah, I just did too.
Okay, so Josh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, basically the question here, though, even if we didn't do math on the radio, you don't have to follow that. If I said to you, hey, I want to have you borrow money at 10%, and I want you to turn around and use that money to loan it to someone else at 4.25%. That's called upside down leverage, right? It's the backwards math of what you would really want to be doing in a situation like this. Think about how the bank approaches this. They are borrowing from you every time you put money into your savings account. They're borrowing from you at 4.25%, and they're turning around and making mortgages or car loans or personal loans at a much higher rate. So they borrow low, loan out high. That's the math that you want to be. You want to emulate the banks. But the math that essentially we were kind of doing here was, if all you did was just leave that $100,000 invested for the next 5 years, and you really could lock it in at 4.25%, because that's one key variable here. Is 4.25% going to be even that high 6 months from now or a year from now? It may be a declining interest rate. We'll see how the economy drives the Fed's hand and everything here. But if you could lock it in at 4.25%, and you just let it grow without borrowing any new money, just allow the interest to accumulate, I'm coming up with around $123,000, close to $124,000 right there.
Yeah.
Without taking on any new risk. You don't have to essentially be creative here. You're just allowing the money to sit and earn a steady rate of return, and you get to the same end result. And so even though, I mean, you asked, is it legal? Is it ethical? All that. Is it something you even should be doing is a better question. And to me, I would say, no, don't get so creative here. Don't try to find a way to boost your capital by using other people's money, because it always comes with a cost. It always brings risk into your financial life.
Yeah. So in that scenario, I can see the appeal. Oh, I've got $100,000. If I borrow $20,000, I now have $120,000 earning this interest rate. That's great. And that interest would be enough to pay the loan off. That's great. So in 5 years, I've paid this loan off, but I've had $120,000 in my bank account the entire time. But what Josh is saying is, no, if you don't do the loan, then you've got $100,000 in the bank account. But over that 5 years, they're earning interest. You'd have about 123 or 100. So this strategy that you're thinking, doing the math, actually costs you around $3,000, between $3,000 and $4,000. Like, how is that possible? Well, you're borrowing $20,000 at 10%, and that $20,000 is only earning 4.25. Mm-hmm. So if you just isolate that, I think that can strip out some of the confusion. And it wouldn't make sense, as Josh said, to borrow money at 10% and have it earn 4.25%.
That's right.
Yeah, and I mean, I would give you a little life hack, a little suggestion maybe, but if you've got that money because if I have $100,000 that I can use, I'm assuming it's probably emergency fund type stuff. So I got $100,000 for emergency. I have $100,000 plus a $20,000 loan. I mean, in theory, I can always take the $20,000 that I borrowed and pay it back. But this is where you think about, how do I optimize my financial life? And just because I can do something doesn't mean I should do something. Mm-hmm. I would think about a couple of things. Number one, what are the tax implications?
Yeah.
But Doug, here you go. You've got $100,000 at 4.25. If you worked with a financial advisor and you bought a short-term treasury bill, that is likely going to pay more than that right now. As of this recording, it would. And I don't know what state you live in. Looking at his phone number, I don't know what state that is. But you could pay no state tax. So if you're in California and you're saving 8%, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
If you're in Florida or Texas or South Dakota, you might not get terribly excited about that change.
So in other words, there might be something even better than just leaving it in the savings account.
Sure. If you want to do even better than what you're doing right now, it might be out there. I don't think it's borrow money at a higher rate and pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Last question tucked in here. Do loans in and of themselves negatively affect your credit score? They can, right? Your credit score is your financial reputation. And when you are out there needing a bunch of loans, then that reputation starts to feel like this person is desperate. They need cash. And so it can. But then if you take out a loan and then you pay it back on schedule faithfully with no interruption, then that kind of builds your reputation, builds your trust. So it can, depending on how many loans you're taking out at any one time, how many other loans you have, what the balance is compared to what your limit is, and so on. And so do they in and of themselves negatively affect your credit score? Not necessarily, but they can. So great question. All right, that is all the time we have for today. On behalf of Josh Gregory, Kevin Korhorn, all of us at Korhorn Financial Group, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Saturday for the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group.
Securities offered through Silver Oak Securities, member FINRA/SIPC. Advisory services offered through KFG Wealth Management, LLC. Doing business as Korhorn Financial Group. KFG Wealth Management, LLC and Silver Oak Securities Incorporated companies are unaffiliated.